Hey guys, welcome to today's live session on Strat Talks. And today our guest speaker is Mr. Prashant Nair. And so we are really excited to have you here. So to begin with,
Yeah.
so I would just like to start off.
Namaste, everyone.
Good evening.
My pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. So I would just start by giving a small introduction on StratTalks. So, StratTalks is aimed at providing open and free access to focus strategies cutting across various areas of business, and be it marketing, sales, economics, etc. We try to bring various leaders and market players from the industry to the forum to share stratagems with keen students of strategy across different age groups. So it is my absolute honor to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Prashant Nair, today for the discussion on there is more to HR than it says on paper. So, Mr. Prashant Nair is the co-founder at Asynthesis Indus Partners, and after having spent close to 20 years in the industry, out of which the last 10 years was as a role of an HR head, Sir has decided to pursue an entrepreneurial journey recently, and with the objective of making a difference to the larger ecosystem, leveraging his knowledge, experience, and perspective. So that's Mr. Prashant Nair for you.
Good. Thank you, Tanisha, and it's my pleasure to be here. I've spoken in many forums which has got a lot of professionals. I've also spoken in institutes, wherein the institutes have invited me to talk to students. But probably this is the first time, and that's the reason why I'm so excited that a forum organized by the students is inviting me to talk to the students. So I'm very excited, and whatever, I'm not going to preach anything. I'm going to share my learnings, and I hope it's useful to some people out here. Thank you. Looking forward to this session. It's all
Yes,
yours.
sir, we do too. We do too. So, sir, to begin with, my first question to you would be, as an HR head, what according to you is the success mantra for the organization as a whole?
Okay, so start off by saying that people look at HR in different ways. The earlier way of looking at HR was that HR was a function that managed the administration part, that managed the whatever the processes part, the compliance part. But HR is more than that. HR is about making an impact in the life of people. And as I'm talking, it's not, you want need to realize that it's not just employees that HR can make an impact. It's the much beyond it. So it's a member organization. The HR impact is about 3,000 to 4,000 members. And that's the real role of HR. Now, coming to your question, what is a success mantra for organization? Any organization that exists for the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? The shareholders are the stakeholders, the customers, the employees, the society, the partners, the government. And the organization creates value for all the stakeholders. That's when the organization becomes sustainable and respected. To the stakeholders and may pull sometimes the organization in different ways. What HR needs to
Sir,
do is HR is one function that can balance the different stakeholders, ensure that there is a balanced approach to the needs and aspirations of each of the stakeholders, and that's where HR can create unique value for the organization. Okay. So
right,
that's in short your answer to your query. So HR is one role that can balance the need and aspirations of these stakeholders. Now, if you want me to expand, if I have time, I can expand on this. What are the 4 dimensions of things that HR can do? I call it LIVE, L-I-V-E. HR can provide leadership. You need to ensure that innovation takes place in the organization. There has to be focus on values and culture, and there has to be constant focus on excellence. So leadership, innovation, values and culture, excellence, L-I-V-E, life. That's my mantra for organizations to follow.
That was really insightful, sir. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. So, in case of a technological advancement or breakthrough, how do you suggest that employees can be made to adapt to the changes, especially now when everything is on an online forum?
Yeah, now this is a great example. Some years back, I would have been very unnerved by when when discussion gets stopped. I think now increasingly people are getting used to discussions getting stopped because of technology bandwidth issues. I would always say that human race has always seen changes from agriculture revolution to industrial revolution to computer to digital. The changes have always been there. But what we are seeing now is a kind of unprecedented changes. The rate of change is what is affecting human beings, and probably we are seeing, a change in 12 months that we've not seen in the last 12 years. That's a kind of change. Majority of the top 50 companies that exist today may not have existed in 15 years back. So imagine the kind of turnover of change, the change has impacted us. It's driven by technology reasons, it's driven by economic, social, political reasons. So an individual or an employee, if you were to say, is facing a huge degree of change in expectations and its needs. Okay, and that's where I think the role of HR becomes very important in three dimensions. One is emotional, one is capability, and the third, I would say, mental. Okay. Now, the capability when I talk about, it's about the hard skill. The HR and the organization would need to ensure that a person is aware what needs to be done as the hard skill, the tangible skill part of it. This could be related to coding, this could be
Right.
related to financial understanding, this could be related to marketing. These are really concepts and skills. The second aspect is about emotional aspect, which is about how do I look at change? How do I myself prepare for change? How do I deal with others? How do I inspire people? And I give this example saying that the way my father would have dealt with me is different from the way I need to deal with my daughter. And in an organization which has got different generations coming together, people behavior needs to change. Okay, and that's
Right,
the
sir.
second aspect of thing that we need to do to employees to help them change. And third aspect that we need to help them is to be mentally, and self-consciousness level. We need to give the person the identity. We need to give the person the confidence that he is ready,
Absolutely.
he can do it. So there are three levels, but that is from the organization point. I always, this is something that all of you should be aware. What got you here will not get you to the next stage. So irrespective or notwithstanding the organization helping you with the skills, I think each one of you should be focused on learning, unlearning, and relearning continuously. Learning is not a
Right.
one-time activity. Learning is not a fixed activity for that you do for the first 25 years of your life or 20 years of your life. Today, learning is a continuous activity, and each one of you would need to learn on the job, learn over the job, and learn beside the job.
Right, sir. Also, a request to the audience, guys, if you have any questions, just drop them down in the Q&A box. And so, are we good to go to the next question?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So, how do you keep the unity among the management and the employees alive amidst the pandemic, where everyone is losing jobs? A lot of employees have already lost jobs. So, how do you think we should maintain the unity?
So, I think there is a kind of, on one level, there is a kind of forced cohesion that has been brought in. Okay, because employees need the employees and employers need the employees to get the work out. But if you ask
Right.
me, is that the cohesion that one would desire? Answer is no. That's not the cohesion that one would desire and one should aspire for. That's a forced cohesion. That's a contractual cohesion. What basically we should look at for is a natural cohesion where the employer and employee mutually add value to each other. Okay. The
Right.
employee should realize that the employer is adding value to the person, and the employee should realize that the employer is giving him a platform. Okay. This platform for partnership is what we need to create. Okay. What can we do towards that? We can ensure that the employees' personal and family and organization needs are taken care of. Number one. Okay. It's a pandemic. It's something that we have never experienced before. Normally we have work time, house
Right.
time. There's a physical partition between this work area of work and home. Okay, And not many in India are fortunate to have separate rooms of work in their house. So work is intruding into the home. Okay, and
Yes, sir.
home, and a lot of people at home, for them, the work is considered, is an intrusion. Okay, organizations should be aware of that, should be cognizant of that. Organizations should factor in the fear factor that is there in the employees' minds. Okay, they should balance the work and non-work. I would not say work and home. I would need to balance the work and the home work. If you look at a lot of reports, it is said that a lot of mental stress and mental cases are coming up. Mental health cases are coming up. Why is that
Yes,
coming up?
sir.
Because of stress. Okay. So can we create an organization where the organization is not driven by the systems and policies, but organization is driven by purpose and by personal, the individual has a role in that purpose. When you create that purpose, people don't work. People enjoy taking part in that purpose. So organization, the leaders and HR has got a very important role. They need to clarify what the person needs to do. Number two, they need to align that what the person does to the larger objective of the organization, which I call the purpose. If they do that, I think that's where I think synergy can be created and togetherness can be created.
Very, very, like, so it's amazing. The answer you gave was just mind blowing. And
Okay.
so we have a question. We have a question from, yeah, I think Janvi. So, sir, she's asking, how are the organizations dealing with job hopping?
Job hopping. Okay. So, I think job hopping can be seen from two sides, from the employer side and employee side. The employee
Correct.
obviously does job hopping because of his career interest or job interest or whatever. Okay, it could be a selfish reason, it could be a purposeful reason, whatever it is.
Yes, sir.
Why does it take place? Usually, it takes place because of push factors and it takes place because of pull factors. If someone gives me 10 times the salary, will I join the new company or not? I'll be tempted, right? So we can't do
Yes,
much
sir.
about the pull factors. Okay, that's a pull that's taking place. But we can definitely do something about the push factors. What is a push factor? The push factor is something because of which I start searching for jobs. I think, and their organizations can do a lot to reduce this push factors. And I go back to what I said earlier: create the purpose, align the purpose of the organization with the employee, ensure that there is constant value add to the employee, because of which he will not be pushed to search for a job. Yeah. Now, however, whatever we do, there will be some attrition, and some attrition is good from a
Yes,
social
sir.
point, from an economic point. Some attrition is good. How do you take care of the attrition? We take care by creating things like succession planning, for example, so that no person becomes extra critical. No one becomes a Messi in Barcelona team. If Messi goes, Barcelona
Yes,
team
sir.
collapses. Okay, so no, we don't allow Messi's to get created. And if Messi's are getting created, we ensure that there is a person in the organization who can probably take up Messi's role. I hope I have answered the question.
I think so too, sir. That was definitely insightful. So moving on to our next question. As
Yeah.
everyone is aware that the country and many organizations are strapped of cash, how do you encourage motivation using non-monetary means?
Okay. So I think a lot of organizations, I'm telling you certain things that are already in practice. So these are not my innovations or something like that. A lot of organizations are offering, having this Friday tea time and so on and so forth, in which all people join on the call and they have a good tea and no work is discussed actually. So that's one way of doing
Right.
it. Secondly, there are recognitions and certificates that are floating around actually. Recognitions and certificates for job done. So that is non-monetary in effect. So these are things that I think are transactional in nature. Okay. These are things that are transactional in nature to have a feel-good factor, which I call the balloon syndrome. You in an organization you pick up put a lot of balloons and ribbons so that
Yes, sir.
people start feeling good. That's good.
Yes,
There's
sir.
nothing bad about it. But for sustainable engagement in a non-recognition way, I go back to what I say. does the employee really consider this workplace to be his or her workplace? That's when the employee will say that, okay, I'm not working, I'm here participating in a purpose. Okay. So, and that's when you get the real, alignment and real employee starting working to from his heart. Okay. The other thing that we've done in my organization, which is called Zing HR, it's an HR technology firm, what we've done is
Yes.
we've said that we are not going to look at only employees. We are about 300 people. We say that our family of employees is about 1,200 people. Okay, so we have family get-togethers. Okay, department-wise, we have family get-togethers. We say that the entire family is involved in this entire process. And if anyone in
Right.
the family, and there have been a lot of cases where a family member got affected by COVID, the organization helped. Organization came out and actually helped these people. So we have created a
Right.
larger ecosystem of family. The concept of family got enlarged during this time, and that has actually
Absolutely.
helped us a lot in this entire journey during pandemic at least.
Yes, sir. Fascinating. All right. So, moving on to the next question. So, this question it will be the takeaways for the audience. And the first
Yeah.
question is for all the people out there who are going to pursue HR as a specialization. So, so what are the specific roles and skills for the people who are pursuing HR as a specialization, especially during the lockdown? Like what
Okay.
new skills what new skills should they inculcate in themselves because of this dramatic change?
Okay. So I'll tell you about the few roles that are there in HR. I'll not tell you about everything, but something given the time constraint. So one role
Yes,
is
sir.
the hiring person, the TA, the talent acquisition person. The person who looks
Right.
after the hiring needs of the organization. The second is about training and development person, which is looking after training, development, organization initiatives, basically focusing on capability development, if I were to call it that. The third role that is there is in the field of industrial relation and union management, which is
Right.
not very attractive nowadays. Unfortunately, we all started by there actually. You know, that's according to me. That's you really understand what HR is about. The fourth is, they call it business partnering role of HR, in which one gets associated with a business like a sales or a function like a, sorry, function like a sales or a function like production or function like marketing, and you become the business
Right.
partner for that. So these are some of the roles that you get in the initial part of a career. Okay, and there could be other roles. In interest of time, you can look at it. So what is very key here, especially in the context of pandemic, is that one, you must learn how to use technology to connect with people. Okay, because organization would expect you to be completely aware of the tech tools that are there. Okay, I am not a tech savvy person, not much actually.
Yes, sir.
I struggle for Instagram now, but when I hire a person who has my HR person and a young person at that, I would expect him or her to be completely aware of technology tools, of engaging, of connecting with people, and also about work allocation and work monitoring. Okay, so you should
Right.
be aware of what are the software that are there in the market, what are the apps that are there in the market, and this is not given. This may not be taught to you by a curriculum in a college. So you would have to go out and explore this. So that is one key change that I'm seeing. Okay, I'm talking about only change, Tanisha, because other things are taken for granted.
Yes,
Also,
sir.
that's the second thing is
Understandable.
that you need to network. You need to network. You need to create a network of sources from where you gain knowledge constantly about the practices. Okay, so you
Right.
need to know what are the designations in brand, what are the ways people are engaging, what are the compensation trends. So you need to network to create knowledge for you and which is helpful for the organization. Okay.
Right, sir.
Before the pandemic, this networking was done in workshops and forums that were conducted in many cities. Today, you will have to get into a society like a national HRD, NHRD Council is there in India, SHRM is there in India. These are the bodies of HR that are there, wherein you meet fellow HR professionals and learn from them. Okay. The
Yes, sir.
third very important thing is have empathy. This is true in all cases, before pandemic, during pandemic, and I'm sure even after pandemic, because the core role of HR is to understand people. Okay, I'm not saying be goody-goody with people. I'm only saying you need to understand people. And if you don't understand
Right.
people, you need to have empathy with people. So that
Absolutely.
these will be my four things. And the last but not the least is, whenever you're getting into a business, please understand, whenever you're getting into organization, please understand you're getting into the organization. You're not getting into the chart function. Try to understand the core purpose of the organization, the core business of the organization. If you were to get into Byju's, you are in the business of education tools. You need to understand that market, you need to understand that area. If you're getting into a pharmaceutical company, you need to understand the pharmaceutical business, and so on and so
Right.
forth. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sir, Janvi has asked a question. She has asked, how has the PMS, that is Performance Management System, evolved over time?
A very interesting question, Janvi. I can go on for next 6 hours on a Saturday afternoon and keep us engaged on this particular topic. I'll learn a lot of work, but I have to summarize it in 1 minute. I'll summarize it. The PMS, the performance management system, started as a confidential report in the sphere of HR. The boss used to write a confidential report about the person reporting to him or her. This evolved to a system in which the employee and the manager have got their inputs, the employee's inputs were taken. It moved in to a point where the employee and the manager started partnering with each other, okay, and jointly fixing goals and jointly working out the appraisal. It's moving towards performance management. The entire concept of performance management is probably going out, and it is now performance enablement that is coming in, because we are not
Yes,
going to
sir.
manage performance, we are going to enable performance, we're going to inspire performance. And one of the ways by which it is done, one of the system by which this is done, is called OKR, objectives and key results, in which every quarter we actually set the object. The objective doesn't change, of course. The key results for a quarter changes, and there is a check-in method that every month the manager and the person sits down formally to look at where the key results are there, how is it progress, and what helps them, what help the employee needs, and what is the feedback to the manager from the employee. So I've just tried to summarize it. In short, if you would ask me, managing performance out of the window, enabling and inspiring performance, that's what it is coming to.
I'm pretty sure that was helpful, sir. Also,
Yeah.
guys, just a reminder, if you have any questions and any queries that you would want sir to answer, just put them in the comment section or the Q&A box. All right, moving on. Last question for today. What are some interpersonal roles, tactics, and etiquettes that the HR people who go for interviews and talk shows should majorly have, especially now when everything is online?
So, I'll give you one very important thing is, we all depend a lot on the body language. 6 months
Yes, sir.
back, all our talk was, eye contact, body language is all very important. Okay. Suddenly, we are in a period where our body language is not very useful for us, actually. Eye contact is not very useful for us. Okay. And sometimes we continue to rely on these two things to convey our point of view. Okay. Be aware that this is not possible. So, once you're aware that this is not possible, possibly what you should do is make your point crisper, make your point, whatever your point of view, it must be completely to the point. And it's difficult for people like us who got used to one way of communication. The youngsters among this audience will find it much more easy to adjust to the new normal, which is making the point crisper and to the focus. And unlike some of us who use our body language to convey a point. Secondly, you must be completely, aware and make use of technology devices, technology capabilities that you can leverage on. Okay, because people expect you to do that. Okay, number one.
Right.
Number two, in the absence of body language and eye contact, this is a tool that you should leverage on. Okay, for example, if you go to a point if you go for a presentation, instead of just talking, and instead of just showing a PowerPoint presentation, make an interactive app, for example, in which the person actually collaborates on viewing. So it becomes participative presence is there rather than just a formal presence. So the more interactive you get the interaction to be in, more participative you make it, it's better. Thirdly,
Yes.
you should realize that the point of fatigue sets in far earlier in an online mode than a physical mode. When I'm interviewing, for example, 6 candidates in a normal day, and I'm seeing them physically, there is a whole lot of I would say non-required communication that takes place. There's moving around. I don't get fatigued actually. Okay. But the moment you are in an online interview of 6 persons, probably by the time I finish the third, my mental faculties have started getting, the fatigue is starting to creep in. So fatigue creeps in much earlier in an online presence as compared to a physical presence. So what can you do about it? If you are the 6th candidate to be interviewed, you can't change, you can't go there and say that I want to be the first. But you can do something, you can make it more interesting, you can make it more lively. Okay. And what I would urge all of you is to pick up stories. Use stories to, underline your point of view, because people like to hear stories. Okay. And, if you can come up with some examples, some stories, then it will be great. In fact, I had prepared a story on the importance of purpose. Okay, we asked you questions some time back. How purpose becomes important. Okay, there are 3 people who are building a wall made of bricks. So the first person, I go to the first person and ask him, "What are you doing?" He is saying that I'm building a wall of bricks. The second person says that I'm building a wall which will be for a house where people will live. The third person says, I'm building the wall of a house and this is the room where a child will sleep. So, who do you think will be making genuine efforts for quality? It's a third person, right? So any point that you can make, if you can underline a story around it, the person who's hearing it becomes interesting for the person. So remember these couple of things, and I'm sure you'll do well.
So I totally agree with you. And the thing that you said about being mentally exhausted when everything is online, now that we have online classes in college going on, I totally understand how online can be more exhausting than physical classes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I was taking a session for teachers, and I told them one of the
Right.
and they are having probably the hardest time of, between students and teachers. Teachers are finding it even more difficult
Right.
because for you it is one session and then it's gone, but they are taking the session repetitively, and when you do this thing repetitively, it becomes a boredom sets in naturally. Okay, and they're not seeing people, they're not getting energy from people, they are looking at the screen and doing it. So I gave them this example of storytelling, and if they can use story as a medium of communicating, I think it's a really fantastic idea.
Right. So we have 2 more questions. The first
Yeah.
one is, so do you think AI could replace HR? We would love to know your views.
Okay. I don't know who asked that question, but I can, this can go till if the performance management question can go to 6, this can go up to 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. Okay. So AI can replace HR. In fact, in HR, there are different roles in HR. Okay, let me just put it this way. I'll try to make the answer short. One role of HR is very transactional in nature, which is processing payroll, for example. Okay,
Yes,
arranging
sir.
interviews, for example. The other role of HR is where the head plays an important role in judgments, taking a decision, for example, okay, based on performance or based on hiring, when the interview. The third role of HR is heart, is about communicating emotions, is about coaching, counseling. AI has already taken the first part, which is about transactions. It's a question of time that every organization, AI will do it. The
Right.
second role of HR, AI can help a lot by giving analytics, by giving analytical support, by giving us information processing support. AI can help decision making. Can it make decisions? Probably yes. In a matter of some years, it can actually help decision provided we are willing to trust it. The third part, I think AI may not be able to do. That is about understanding human beings, relating to them, counseling them. That's a role where the heart and head plays a role. That part of HR, I don't think AI can replace. So, in short, AI can replace some part of HR, but may not. It can help in other part of HR. Third part of HR, AI may not be able to help or will not be able to replace.
Right. So, absolutely. I totally agree with you. So, we have one more question from Anjali, and she has asked, we always hear that HR has narrower scope than other career options. Is it actually that way in an organization?
So, if Anjali had told me this about some years back, uh, you know, I would have said that maybe 15 years back, you told me, I would have said yes. Two things have happened in this last 10, 15 years. One, organizations have realized that people are the most important resources. Okay, people can make a difference to the running of the organization, and who better than HR to understand the people? Okay, having said that, only people understanding may not help you become a CEO of the organization. Okay, you
Right.
must understand the HR person needs to understand the basics of finance, basics of marketing, and that's where spending time with the business is important. HR person need to equip himself or herself to understand the business. In fact, as part of my HR role in Thomas Cook, after some years, I manage the financial services business as well. So HR people have gone right up to the board level and have become CEOs, but HR person needs to work on that as well. Okay, that's one part. Second is the very definition of career is undergoing a change. There was a time when you talked about one organization, one job. This it moved to say, many organizations, many jobs. Right now, we are seeing of many careers, many organizations, some non-organizations, and multiple jobs. Okay. So there's nothing, you need to define your career path. At one point in time, for example, I decided that I want to get out of HR and start my own business. I became an entrepreneur. That was a career path. Now, successful or not, I don't know, but I'm happy. Okay. So each career path is something that you define for yourself. And when you define for yourself that career path, and if you go about it, you are successful in that actually. So career path
Right.
in the past, it was a predefined trajectory. Today, each one of you can define a career path that is independent of others. So I don't think there is anything that stops you from going where you want once you get into HR.
Absolutely. We have one more question from Apurv, and it is, so do you think that because AI will provide an unbiased solution to major problems, it might be much more beneficial than HR?
So AI being unbiased, I don't agree completely. Okay. If AI was unbiased, a lot of problems in the world would not have happened. Okay, AI is what we are feeding the system at some point in time. Okay. So AI is how AI works, and I'm sure Papud knows about it, and that's why he's asking this question. Okay, it uses a nearest neighbor or it uses a principal component analysis in machine learning to actually deliver the solution. Now, each of this thing is the 100% unbiased? I don't think so. Can anything be 100% unbiased, human or artificial? It cannot be so. Okay. Now, so what do we do about it? We need to know whether it's machine or it's intelligence or human beings. It's better we are conscious of our biases. Okay. If the machine is conscious of the biases and the person using it is conscious of the biases, then definitely I think we'll get a better solution. I don't think AI will replace HR completely. It's not possible. But HR using AI will definitely replace HR who does not use AI.
I hope
So
that was
that's where I'm.
helpful, Apurv.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's it for now. Guys, does anyone else have any other question? We'll wait for 2 minutes, sir, for anyone who has a question so that he can ask. We'll wait for 2 minutes.
Okay.
You've cleared Apurv's doubts, sir. He's thanking
Thank
you.
you, Apur. Thank you.
How's life in
Good.
Mumbai, sir? How's it going there?
It's good. It's good. The monsoon is gone, but today there might be some cloud storms, and that's what they're talking about. But it's good. Weather is becoming
Right.
better, and I hope and I pray that all of you are safe and be safe. Wear a mask and maintain social distance. And I hope our country comes out of this COVID sooner rather than later.
We hope that too, sir.
Thank you.
So I don't think anyone has any questions. So we'll wrap this up.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
So thank you so
Thanks
much,
for getting
sir.
me here.
It was lovely speaking to you.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine. Be safe. Take care. God bless.
Take care, sir.
Thanks.